Welcome to the Brutally Honest MMA show. For combat sports, the only place to go. Well, as in key, no it doesn't get better. Bringing MMA fans across the world together. The voice of the people, hard hitting, true talking. Real questions asked by the fans when they call in. Weekly MMA news you just can't miss. Potential matchups and post-fight analysis. From UFC to Brave and 1FC to Bellator. Discussing every man and woman going to war. Even grappling events like ADCC to Polaris and grappling industries. So here's to the fighters, the fans and the game. Here's to the blood, sweat and tears and the fame. And here's to Az and Key, you ready to go on the Brutally Honest MMA show.
Welcome to the Brutally Honest. I'm joined here with Kieran Harper. How are you doing, Key?
All good as yourself, mate.
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. We got Anjos and Felder joining us on the show.
Moving up in the world. I'll sketch a little picture and put one behind. we got some fisticuffs going on behind me. Good that is. That looks really good.
Cheers for that. So let's get straight into it. We've got last minute change to the upcoming fight night. We've got Felder joining us on the show with going against Anjos. Now, I'm quite excited for this actually.
More excited. I prefer.
Yeah,
I'm more looking forward to this fight than the original. So
I am.
The Anjos thing. I mean, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. I mean, I've been following him. Like, obviously, he was really good at one point, but for me, he hasn't really been very impressive. And I wasn't that much looking forward to the fight night, to be honest with you. But now it's Felder versus Anjos. I think it's a great fight for Felder.
Yeah, I mean, just touching up on what you said, like Anjos. To be fair to the guy, he's only lost against the top 5 contenders. Like, he's lost against Alvarez, who at the time was the top contender, Ferguson, who's a top contender, Covington, who's a top contender, Usman, who's a top contender, Leon Edwards, who's a top contender, and probably Chiesa is just a bit below the top 5. But I mean, he's only lost against good competition. Yeah, so like you say, it's good for Felder. Felder only lost against Danuka, who's a top contender. So I'm more excited about this fight than the other one because I just feel like Islam Makachev. I just felt like he was going steamrolling. I thought he just win quite easily. I wasn't excited. Whereas this one, I feel like it's a more even match fight.
Yeah, I mean, well, going back to what you just touched on there, where you just said all these people who he's fought, I can go in and fight all them and lose. I mean, it's about beating them, isn't it? It's like yeah, he's fought all the big guys and he's lost to them all. I mean, I want to see them. I want to see that on the other way on his resume. I mean, that's a reason. I mean, don't get me wrong. He was beating the best of the best at one point, but I mean, not for a while, not for me. I feel like it's another Silver, but on a lesser scale, where he's just fighting off his name and stuff. He would have been cut a couple of years ago if he wasn't who he was and what he's done in the UFC.
Yeah.
But Felder, I mean, he's going into this with there's no pressure at all on him. He's at a week's notice. He's had to cut. He said I saw the thing, and he said he was training for a triathlon, so he wasn't that far off. He wasn't on normal walking around weight. He wasn't massively away. I think he's got it 125, hasn't he? And he said he's got cut up to 23 pounds in 5 days, I think it was. Which, that sounds tough, doesn't it? That still. So I think if he wasn't training for the triathlon, God knows what. He wouldn't have been able to do it.
Yeah, he wouldn't be taking the fight, I don't think. On
no pressure fight, fighting against the name. Felder's made a point of saying it a few times that it's Dos Anjos and that sort of playing it like, oh, you know, I'm having it on a few days' notice. I've got cut weight. I'm fighting against this legend of the sport. So he's setting it up for be a big underdog. Whereas I don't think he is. I think he's going to beat him.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a good fight, a good battle. To be fair, I mean, touching up on what you said about Felder, the no pressure. I mean, he was going to retire. I mean, he's been talking about retiring, and then this has come up, and he's thought, you know what? Why not? This could be. He's like, if he loses, he might just go. Fair enough. I've had through return, through everything in, and I've got no pressure. Win or lose, I might retire after. I mean,
but if he
wins, he could go on to on a little run.
He's looking at the title shot. I mean, he must be looking at people like Glover and stuff like that now, and like the Romeros and people, you know, people who are a lot older than him. They're 40s, you know, who are doing it. I mean, who were doing it in the UFC and still winning. I mean, Glover's on a 5-fight win streak now, isn't he?
I mean, he's
going to get a title shot. Probably being the next person get the shot. I said,
I think he should be, because there's talk about Adesanya moving up to light heavyweight to take on Jan, but I didn't want that. I think, I mean, I do want to see him move up, but I do kind of want to see Glover take the title. I feel like he's gone on such a good run. Yeah, it would be such a shame for Adesanya take the title and then him have to fight Adesanya. It's suck major balls, that would. I mean, I feel like this is his time to get the title and then probably retire.
Yeah. Well, he's been on about it. I mean, he lost. I think he lost a couple in a row before he went on a streak. Well, he's like I say, he's wrestling. I mean, he's still got it, hasn't he? He's still doing. I mean, I didn't have him against Santos. I didn't have. I just thought he was going to get knocked out, but he keeps surprising me. I mean, I even thought when he fought Lionheart, I thought Lionheart was going to win that. I think he just come off the back feet. And I thought Lionheart was going to win, and he didn't, and he just keeps doing it. And he's a funny guy as well. He does deserve the shot. He definitely deserves a shot.
I mean,
because if he doesn't get it now, he'll never get it, because time's not on his side, is it? So
yeah, I mean, like, I feel like Adesanya's next level, and if Adesanya takes the light heavyweight title, I can't see Glover taking it from him. I just can't see that happening.
He's buggered then.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Glover's on this momentum. He's on this momentum, and I feel like the right opponents have come along, and he's taken them on, and he's scored the win. To be fair, though, his chin held up. So I was surprised. I was surprised that his chin held up, and like his wrestling was amazing. Like when he was like wobbled, rocked, like, and he's wrestling. I don't know what. To be fair, I don't know if that was an error on Santos's part where he underestimated Glover a little bit, but like to get the double leg from like when you wobbled in the positions that he was in.
But he's done that time and time again. That's what he's always done, hasn't he? He's always been it. And, you know, he did his little Rocky speech at the end, and stuff like that. That's sort of, I don't know, he's a bit of a character. But we just got off topic a bit. It was like, I'm saying that's the kind of inspiration for Felder, and then now we were thinking about retiring, and then they must be looking at that thinking, you know what, got a few more years left in me,
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, a lot of people had him to beat, like actually had him for the win against Huke. I mean, that was a close fight, that was, where he had against Huke. So I don't know. I think he'll win this fight.
Yeah,
and I think he'll have another fight, and then he could potentially go and have a one last ditch at the title. You know, maybe go for a run and then call it a day. Then.
Well, just going back to Glover one more time. just to sum it up, I honestly thought Glover's chin had gone. Before that last fight, go back, I don't know, 4 years ago when he lost against Rumble, he got KO'd. He got KO'd by Gustafsson, and I thought, oh no, I was thinking his age, his chin's going. a bit like Rockhold. How Rockhold is just his chin's gone now, and he just can't get it there at all. But I thought that was it for him. But to see how I don't know what he's done in his training or whatever he's done, but Santos, he hits hard. I know.
But like you say, Santos is probably the one of the biggest lifters in UFC.
Yeah.
You know, he's only got touch people. He did it to Jimmy Manuel. You know, they're all powerful people, and he's probably the most powerful person in there. And he couldn't put, like I say, he's everything held up for him. And then when he was wobbled, he just did to what was instinct to him and went for the double legs and single legs, and eventually his ground and pound was so much better. You know, when he was on top, he wasn't just sitting on top; he was striking on top.
He did look impressive, but like you say, Felder and Anjos both looking at that, they're probably thinking, but then they're not in the lightweight division. The lightweight division is probably the most oversaturated division for top talent in the UFC at the moment. I mean, we're talking about Dos Anjos and Paul Felder, who are probably at the lower end of it, but the two top contenders in the sport. And then you've got so many fighters coming up, like Islam. You've got who else is coming up in the division at the moment?
Like I say, in that division, it's just stacked, all like from all the way through. I think they said, I mean, even was it Vera who couldn't even make the top 15 and stuff like that. Yeah. And he's been on 6 or 7 fight winning streak. It's like they're just because that's just how mental that division is at the moment.
It's a crazy division, which brings us on to who is going to be the next UFC lightweight champion of the world. Like now the belt's vacated, are we going to see one of these two young fine gentlemen?
He's there with his graphics again. Yeah. Oh God, it's good. I can't wait. When December. Is it December or January? January 23rd.
McGregor was pushing before, but they've confirmed today, I believe, for January the 23rd. And rumour has it, it's going to be for the vacant lightweight title. And yeah, I feel like this is the fight for us. It's got to be the fight for us. I mean,
it's gone from an exhibition to it was an exhibition match. That's how it started. It was going to be an exhibition in December or something like that. And then it was charity, wasn't it, for Poirier's I can't remember what charity. And then just stepping up to it's like that's how good they are. Like probably McGregor is just like putting himself out there and like self-advertising type thing. He's just like he's managing to turn this exhibition into a potential title match.
It's potentially a title match and probably one of the biggest fights of next year. At the start of the year, I mean, I can't see many fights being as big as this one. I mean, it depends what Conor's going to do, because Conor's talking about going into boxing. He's talking about the Pacquiao fight after this. Now, if he goes into boxing for the Pacquiao fight, I can't see him having another MMA fight this year. It depends what road he's going to go down. Next year, sorry, next year, in 2021.
He's fighting at the start, so he's got his fighting. He said that he's been wanting, he wanted to be more active anyway, and I think that's the reason, like, he went into retirement and stuff, because he's been falling out with Dana and everything, and he wanted to be out there and having fights. I mean, what's he fought? He's fought like 16, 17 seconds against Cerrone, and that, in a couple of years or something like that. Yeah, you know, it's like it's not enough, and he has wanted more. I mean, obviously Dana wants to make it a big spectacle when McGregor's fighting, because that's where the money is. But obviously he wants to be in there fighting. But like you said, he's gonna probably do the one early in the year. He could potentially have the Pacquiao about June, July, and then maybe
another in before.
And then have one at the end of the year as well. Like, You could probably split it for 3, but have the boxing in the middle, maybe, because he'd have to. If that was a title fight, he would have to defend that.
Yeah. So what I see happening, if that's the case, I'd probably see McGregor defending it at least once before the Pacquiao fight, if the Pacquiao fight is on the cards. That is, we don't know how much is speculation and how much just Conor being Conor and trying, will something into existence like he did with the Mayweather fight, where he just talked about it that much that it became reality.
And then he got all that millions, didn't he? And it worked because he will self-promote himself again with the Pacquiao one if that happens. I much prefer seeing him in the octagon,
Yeah.
But he's going to want to do the boxing way because he's going to get more money through the boxing way, isn't he? So they're all about them G's, baby. That's what they do. So, for me, I prefer seeing him in the octagon and turn it up and have a good push at it. Like I say, he's 32. He's 32. He isn't war torn. He ain't like he isn't constantly in there, like a bit like Simone or someone like that. He's like very spacious. He can prolong. His career can go on for ages if he wants it to. If he wants focus into one thing, but I don't know. You never know with Conor, do you? You just don't know.
No. I think that's why he attracts so many fans, because you don't know what you're going to get with him. And who do you think? If say McGregor win, we're talking about who do you think is going to win this fight?
Oh, Conor.
I think it's going to be much similar to the first fight, if not even. It's a strange one because they've both improved since that last fight, but I still see it going the same way.
McGregor will fuck him up. He'll predict what round. He'll predict what second, and then he'll get you betting if you bet on him. I really do. I just think he's going to be so focused going into this fight, and he's obviously going to want the belt and stuff like that. Even if it isn't the title one, probably the next one. This might be a fight for.
Yeah, it might be a number one contender.
Or what have you,
because
he's going to want that bout, and I tell you, he could do it. He'll probably do it in the first round. To be honest with you, his striking will be on point against him. I know it will.
So what they could do if this doesn't end up being the title fight, they could have 2 number 1 contender matches. You could have either Chandler and Gaethje or Chandler and Ferguson fighting for that number 1 contender. Then obviously McGregor and Poirer fighting for number 1 contender. Then the winners fight each other for the belt. But I'd prefer him just say Poirer, McGregor title fight, and then McGregor's got defended against someone a bit later in the year. Who would you like seeing defend it against first? I
think McGregor.
Yeah,
I think it'll be Gaethje. I think if this is the fight here, then it'll be the next fight will be against Gaethje, because they've had a lot of back and forth between them as well.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be the fight. Or potentially Ferguson and Gaethje might go at it again. So if they end up going at it again, it might be the winner.
Yeah.
It's a bit harsh on Ferguson. Keep missing out by losing to fight for the final. He's been in a position where he's fighting. It hasn't been his fault a lot of the time, where he's been like the next number 1 contender. So I'd like to see Ferguson as well. I think that would be back for Ferguson and McGregor. I think that'd be really.
I think it would be a good build.
Any one of them top 10. It's like any one of the top 15 in that division. I don't mind.
I'd sort of like. This is what I'd like is the Pacquiao fight not happen, and McGregor have the season that he was talking about in 2020, have it in 2021, where Poirer, Gaethje, Ferguson, Chandler, and then that's his season, and then either that entices Khabib to come back for that rematch, or GSP, or another super fight down a bit further down the road. But I don't think GSP. I don't think he'd come back fight McGregor. I think it's
once Khabib.
I think it's Khabib. It's Khabib or Adesanya. I think he spoke about. I don't think Adesanya's quite where GSP would want him to be in terms of legacy. Just yeah. So if the Adesanya fight was happening, I'd probably say it would be more closer to 2022. But they'll be pushing for the. I reckon they'll be pushing for the GSP Khabib fight this year.
But there's loads of options, though, aren't there? There's loads of options. Ideally, like you said, the main thing is keep Conor in the UFC. That's Dana's job now.
Yeah,
Pacquiao went off. I know he'll earn more money. Pacquiao will beat him in a boxing match, and then it's just, he's just earned his money, and then he'll go back to. But I'd love McGregor just focused on it and think, fuck it, this year, and this is what I'm doing this year, and then knuckle down and do that. But only time will tell, lads. Only time will tell. He's got to get past Dustin first, hasn't he?
So, touching up on some of the greats there, GSP, Khabib, what do you think about all this GOAT talk at the moment between John Jones and Khabib about the pound for pound number one and the greatest of all time? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, Bones is having this conversation with a lot of people. He's having it with Adesanya as well. And he's always going to be in that mention with the 1 and 2. It's an hard one. I mean, I think me personally, Bones a couple of years ago was unreal. I mean, I haven't seen him that good in recent fights. He's been limping his way through fights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he's still getting the victories. Whereas Khabib has been dominant in every single fight what he's been in.
I don't know if these. I found out some information last night, and this has changed my thoughts on it a little bit. But then it changed my thoughts back because then I heard something else. So I've heard about the Khabib fight versus Gaethje. I've heard about the story behind it, why Khabib went for the triangle choke.
Yeah, because he switched it, didn't he? Because his dad. Is it something to do with his dad, or he didn't want to break his arm, or something like that?
Yeah, he didn't want to break it because Gaethje's family were there. His mum and dad do ringside by the octagon, and Khabib knew the kind of person that Gaethje is, that he would most likely break his arm.
Yeah,
and he didn't want to break his arm in front of his parents. So what kind of what's going through? Like, what level do you have to be at where you're thinking, I'm not going to break your arm, I'm going to choke you out. I can just switch it up. I'll just do this. I'll show some mercy, and it's not even going to break a sweat off my head. I'll have a little choke. I'll put you to sleep.
If it was against Conor, his arm would have been snapped. He wouldn't have showed that mercy against Conor.
He would have torn it off. And
I think what does it for me, when you're on about the GOAT status, and I think I'm always biased towards the heavier divisions. I feel like they've always been. I mean, don't get me wrong, about say the featherweight is stacked at the moment, is probably the best division, but I think say you're watching an average fight or anything like that, there's always that chance with the heavier ones that someone can get knocked out at heavyweights or light heavyweights. There's always, doesn't matter how good you are, normally they've got something against the record because it's they've got like just a bit of leather just stopping them. So anyone can get it by a lucky punch or get choked out, make a mistake. There's that many things to think about. The fact that Bones has never lost is insane for me. Like, especially against caliber of your DCs and people like that. I just find that crazy. And he's the youngest ever champion, and he's always defended it. So for me, just because Khabib can get it by some of them featherweights and not knock him out, whereas if Bones gets it by, say, Thiago Santos flush, then he's pretty much knocked out, even if he hasn't dominated the fight. So I lean towards Bones over Khabib for that GOAT. But I get why. I get why people would think he would choose Khabib or what have you.
It's such a close race. I mean, you've got like people are saying that Khabib's record, it's almost flawless in terms of like his career, not getting it, being put in positions, dominating. And
I reckon he's only lost one round in his career. Now,
two apparently. The third round against McGregor and the first one against Gaethje. That's apparently they're the only two rounds.
I'm not too sure about that. I remember watching him against Ali Quinty, and I'm sure Ali Quinty like pinched a round or two off him. But
I think the problem with Iaquinta, why he didn't in the end, is I think he was close to, but what he was playing that weird defensive game, if you remember, like he crouched. He was literally down by the floor, and I think that probably played on the close rounds. I think that sort of made the judges think, well, he's not being the aggressor. And on the close rounds, they probably scored it Khabib rather than Iaquinta. Yeah, I didn't really know without looking at the cards.
I think they're a bit dodgy, like some of them where it's like, oh, he's only lost 1 or 2 rounds in his career. Pretty sure he's lost more than that. I've got a question though. Do you know, like with the eye pokes, how they can get stopped?
Yeah.
Like the fight can get called off and everything comes in because you've got to have your closed fist. What's the rules on a toe in the eye?
Probably depends on whether it's accidental. Like typically,
well, if it's legal, is it a legal shot?
It won't.
Because I was saying because Silver used to do the front kicks all the way up, didn't he?
Yeah.
He could potentially get caught, and then if he says a legal shot, if it's fine and it says legal, then why aren't MMA fighters like growing the big toenails into like
that is
into like his chunk?
That is a rule though. I know that's a rule from jiu-jitsu competitions because you can't have long fingernails or long toenails.
Start cutting them with your toenails. But like I say, I mean, I think I just think like if it is legal for the eye, I think you got to start aiming for that eye, hadn't you? I'd start driving. You'd try anything, stick a big toe in their eye and try and get it done that way.
Well, just to sum it up on the GOAT status, I said I heard something about Khabib. Then there was something that I heard about John Jones that made me switch completely like to Jones. And John Jones didn't train for a lot of his fights. You know, when he was on his way up, Greg Jackson came out, his coach, and confirmed it that he didn't train for what I can't remember which fight, but it was one of the fights on his way up. He did not train for the fight. He didn't go into camp. He didn't have a camp. He didn't fight. He didn't train. He didn't spar. He just turned up for the fight. Now, what fighter does that? Like, what fighter doesn't have a fight camp? And that just shows you how his level is so high above others that he feels confident not having a fight camp, not learning any new skills, not brushing up on any new skills. He can just go in with what he's got in that moment and go, I'm going to win this fight.
How relaxed. That's how relaxed he is. But that's probably like weed he's been smoking. That's why I say relaxed.
and apparently, the same with Cormier. When he beat Cormier the first time, he said, I beat you going into the fight, not really training. I was doing coke most nights and messing about and going clubs and stuff like that. Now, this is the guy, like, his potential, he should be the greatest of all time without doubt. But the doubt comes from his wild behaviour, his sort of... Imagine Jones if he was focused against Santos, against Reyes, against all these fighters where he's looked average. He's not looked great, has he, in the last few fights? Now, a focused Jones, who's already above everyone anyway, would be a different fighter. I really do. I really think there would be no question on who the greatest of all time is right now. It's just this he's casting his own shadow at the moment. And
yeah, but this Adesanya thing, that's the kind of thing that will fire him up. I think he'll get, if say the Adesanya one did come to the bout, and it was Bones versus Adesanya. Bones would work hard in that training camp. There's no way that he'd want to lose to him.
Yeah.
And I think he'd put it all in. And what you're missing from Bones as well, so I haven't seen him throw them horrible elbows and that nasty ground and pound. What he was doing, it's like he had the best ground and pound and elbows in the UFC by a long way. And he all that seems to have gone. He's just turned into like a range and kickboxing matches for him, even working in the clinch or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching something last night. It was called when trash talk goes right and when trash talk goes wrong. And one of them was when Chael fought John Jones, and it was quite funny. And what they do is they edit the end so it looks like he won the fight when he didn't. But they edited the fight to another fight where I can't remember who it was, but they caught whoever it was. They caught John Jones in an armbar, and the armbar was tight, and he was trying to snap the arm, and John Jones just pulls it out. He just pulls the arm out of an armbar. Like the things that he used to do, and I think a lot of people have forgot the skill level that he had, and the things that, like you were saying, the elbows, the ground and pound, but the submission attempts that he got out of, and the submission attempts that he like some of the chokes that he put on, and the clinch work. That clinch work was probably some of the like at the time. No one was working the clinch at the time when John Jones was coming up. It was in MMA at least. The clinch. I think some fighters used it, but they didn't use it like he did with the elbows, with the knees, and the way he used to break away from the clinch and land shots was new at the time, and his skill level was just far above the game and what people were bringing to MMA at the time. Now he's still great, but he needs to do something to show everyone. He needs
to be more passion. He needs that passion. What made him the youngest ever UFC champ. Well, he needs that.
I'm hoping the move to heavyweight is the making of the passion again. Bring some fire back into his belly. Like the matchups he's got there, like endless. Like he's got Ngannou, Stipe, Derek Lewis. Possibly Lesnar if ever Lesnar comes back. He's a big name. You've got Dos Santos. You've got there's just so many big names in the heavyweight division at the moment that for Jones that this is the time to show your worth. But the Adesanya, it's a weird one because if Jones fully commits to heavyweight, I don't think we see the Adesanya fight.
No,
unless it's at some weird catch weight, and then there'll always be this question. I mean, Jones is a heavyweight now, so it's an heavyweight taking on a middleweight as such. I feel like if they're doing that fight, it's got to be now. It's got to be relatively soon before he transitions and puts that extra muscle mass on for heavyweight. Otherwise, there's no way. I don't think Jones would make light heavyweight. Once he's gone, I think that's him gone for good.
He never went back down, did he? But it's like I say again, he cut 2021, and that's the year. I mean, we fucked this year off now, don't we? Like this year's done with. It's like saying it's kicking off. The UFC's kicking off good with like the Dustin and Conor match. There's loads of amazing UFC events what could come on next year. I mean, that's just one of the stories, isn't it? Like, there's loads of other stories. So,
well, what I'm looking forward to, Dillashaw's back next year. Dillashaw's back early next year.
Right.
Udo's wanting to come back again. I like Sudo. I think he's great for the sport. He's great, and I like you could like that storyline with him and TJ and the flyweight division. Now the flyweight division was literally going to be closed if TJ won that fight, and he felt like he was fighting for the people in the flyweight division, and he won, and then he stepped up and he won the bantamweight title, and I like his little story. I do.
Yeah. It's great. It's a great story.
It's a bit cheesy, but it's fun.
No, I like him. I do. I think he's a character that you need them characters, don't you?
Yeah, you do. And I'd like to see him come back. I'd like to see him come back. He's looking for the Volkanovski fight, but I can't see him. I can't see Dana White giving that fight to Cejudo for the reasons that I don't think he'll defend the featherweight title. He's too small. I think he'd be okay in maybe 1 or 2 fights with certain fighters, but some of those guys are big. Like Holloway is a big guy, and I just
massive.
can't.
But
Yeah,
Holloway, that was a bad decision anyway. The Volkanovski one.
Yeah.
Holloway won that fight.
Yeah.
100% won that fight. But yeah, we'll just have to see how it goes next year, won't we? Just see what the Danis and Shelby muster up. Well, there's a new one coming on as well, isn't there now? Sonnens got his hand in.
Oh yeah. You can't really see the poster very well. It's just, but yeah, Sonnen's got his submission underground, which is coming up in December 20th. We've got a couple of UFC fighters fighting on that. So you've got Bader versus Lewis. That's a nice little crossover. I feel like that'll be.
This sucks. So submission underground.
Yeah.
What is it? A grappling event?
Yeah. So it's a grappling event. This one's SUG 19, I think. SUG 19.
So talk us through the rules.
So it's just a grappling event. I'm not sure what the time limit. It's just like they get rounds. No, or they get. I can't remember if it's rounds or time limit. They get a time limit, and then it's either win on points or a ref's decision, or you submit the other guy. It's no-gi grappling. I mean, submission underground's a bit. I wish it was.
Is this striking?
No striking. It's grappling only.
So this is what I'm getting to, though. You got Cerrone versus Dos Anjos.
Yeah.
But none of them strike me as grapplers, really, in a grappling event, especially Cerrone. Like, he's always been like his kickboxing and like leg kicks and everything like that, hasn't he?
I mean, from what I know, Dos Anjos is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That was his actually.
They're all going out. I'm not saying, but obviously they're all going to be like your black belts and stuff. It's just that they're not renowned for I mean, that kind of style, are they?
No, I mean, Dos Anjos has apparently got good BJJ, and Cerrone's background is wrestling, and I think to be fair, like you say, you did touch upon it, because none of these are the main event. The main event is Ishii versus Fowler, who are proper grapplers, and I think when you watch the event, you'll see the difference in the level of grappling, and I think what they try and do is grappling is getting bigger and bigger, and I think it's a bit like having CM Punk on the show, that kind of thing. You're bringing in a big name, a lot of eyes are going to be on the show.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and like, although these are all accomplished grapplers, and they all grapplers, and they all train in grappling, they're not all like training in one speciality constantly for all your life is different than training multiple disciplines. But what it's going to do is it's going to bring a lot of attention, because you've got Cerrone and Dos Anjos, you've got Rumble Johnson and Verdum on it, you've got Felicia Spencer and Bader and Lewis, and these are all big names. Like, it's going to bring a lot of attention.
Rumble Johnson and Verdum, that's going to be because Verdum, like, again. So like you're going like BJJ to, it's like BJJ against wrestling, isn't it? Basically, Rumble Johnson is like unbelievable wrestling. You know, he could do stuff like that. DC, I'm surprised DC hasn't wanted to get in on this, to be honest. And then you've got like Verdum, who's BJJ is out of this world, isn't he? You know, it's, I mean, he's got ridiculous BJJ. But the other one, I mean, the Bader Lewis, I fear for Lewis in that. Bader's wrestling is ridiculous, isn't it? Like, Bader's a really good wrestler.
He's a really good wrestler.
Lewis is a striker, isn't he? You know, he's always been known for explosive striking, and you know, gets his leg kicks up.
He did well against that. Was it Ukrainian or Russian or what's the one? Brugoslavia. He fought him recently.
Burial.
Yeah, Burial. One team's supposed to be like a renowned wrestler, or something.
But what did it for me? I mean, it's hard judging him against them, but against DC, he was absolutely dominated the second touch the floor, but he offered nothing. It's like, normally it's like they'll try and offer something. I don't know if that's just DC is ridiculous as well. He's on a different level, but to do that at heavyweight, because Lewis would be the bigger guy in that fight, and it's like to be controlled or like within a second taken down and stuff like that. I thought, Lewis's wrestling didn't look the best there. And obviously, Bader is really good, and he's heavyweight. He's a really good wrestler. So I don't think Lewis is going to do very good in that fight, to be honest.
I think you're going to see some people exposed in this, but I think the more sort of exhibition, they're going to be going for it, but I think they're there for the name, aren't they? They're there to get paid. I think because of the year we've had, I think a lot of fighters, MMA fighters, are looking for a bit of extra money on the side, and because they can't fight in other organisations or anywhere else, they can't grapple.
Why? Is this because it's a grappling event? So they're allowed. The contract allows them out of the UFC to do grappling events and stuff like that.
Benson, do you remember Benson Henderson, lightweight champion? Well, he used to do that a lot. Actually, he used to compete a lot in other events and grappling events while he was fighting. And some other fighters do it. Like Nate Diaz did it. He used to do it. He don't do it now, but so one or two still do it. Not many now, but obviously with the year we've had, I think they're all looking for that bit extra money, and the money in submission grappling at the moment is going up a lot. So like go back a few years, they probably got offered these things, but the money wasn't there. So they probably didn't think, it's not really worth my time, but the money's getting bigger and bigger. That I might take this on as a little side piece. I'm not going to get I'm not probably going to get injured from it. I'm not going to be an hero. I'm not going not tap to an arm bar. I'll just tap. I'll take my money and I'll go. And
you're not in front of millions of people and ashamed of it, are you?
Yeah, and MMA fighters fighting in wrestling and grappling.
Why don't they use this as a training camp then? Why don't certain fighters coming up, like say I don't know, like Rumble Johnson's thinking, I won't go back to the UFC. He might be using this as a stepping stone just for tuning up his skills again.
I was actually thinking that's the only one where I'm thinking actually this might actually be the start of his comeback. Because he's been talking about coming back, and I'm sure he's back in the testing pool for USADA. And I think this is an actual genuine sort of test for him. I think before he dips his toe back into the MMA world. Whereas the others, I think for Lewis, Cerrone, Dos Anjos, I think it's extra money. Bader might be looking to prove a point because he left the UFC, and I think when Lewis's name got mentioned, that probably thought, I want it. I think it's more pride for Bader, but for Johnson, I think
he's getting a lot of attention as well. It's like he's getting your name out there again. So it's like it's money. You get your name out there, and it's a good training session. If anything else, it's like it's a good workout, isn't it? It's like you're going to learn something from it.
Well,
so I get it. I'm looking forward to it. It's not.
Yeah, it'll be good. That will December 20th. Johnson. It must be at heavyweight then, because Verdum fights at heavyweight, doesn't he? So it's going to be.
Johnson moved up, didn't he? He said he was fighting at heavyweight. Johnson did.
Yeah, but he hasn't. He was fighting at light heavyweight before he left when he retired. He said he was going to come back at heavyweight. So this will be. I reckon this is a legit first test to see how he matches up, and then I can see him making a comeback.
I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I am. I think it'll be good in that one. Yeah, so I think we'll wrap it up there, Key.
Yeah, let's see how it goes. So we've got Bellator, another daft time tomorrow, haven't we?
Yeah, we've got Bellator tomorrow.
Not daft time, daft day. So
Yeah, we've got a few fights on there.
What? Sorry, I should just break.
I said we've got a few fights on the Bellator card that we're interested in. You're interested in Pitbull versus Carvalho.
Yeah, well, that's the main one. It's the quarterfinals of that Grand Prix as well. So we'll see how it goes. I'm more interested in. I think there's one in about the next Bellator event after this one. I think is the AJ McKee one, and I love that guy. He's a young lad. He's still fit, and he's tearing up that division. So he's the one to look out for. He's the one I'm really excited for. But
yeah,
I mean, we'll
right.
get into that, eh? I mean, we've got things to watch. So we've got Bellator for tomorrow, and we've got UFC on the weekend. And then let's just see how it goes from there, eh?
Yeah. Right. So subscribe, everyone. Keep listening. Keep watching, and we'll see you on the weekend.
Cheers, guys.
See you later, Key.
See you in a bit, bud.